So what's your favorite Western? Is it this one or that one, or maybe it's one of these? Is it a revisionist Western or anti-Western or a 70s acid Western, or maybe it's just an all-time classic? Whether your favorite Western film is in black and white, vibrant Technicolor, a spaghetti Western, a neo-Western, a silent film, or maybe really only Western in spirit, chances are it's on this list of the top 100 Westerns already. But what if it's not? What if your favorite Western of all time has been forgotten? How do you get that Western on the list? It's an off-the-list bonus episode of Horses on Film. Howdy, y'all. Welcome to our first off-the-list bonus episode of Horses on Film. So, we are covering, this is the podcast dedicated to covering the top 100 movies as laid out by IndieWire. This is one that's not on the list, and we're going to do a bunch of these. So for this, I'm going to bring in Dave and Scott. Dave, Scott, welcome to our first bonus episode.
Yeah.
Yo, y'all.
Excited for this.
Yeah. So this first one is one we've talked about a lot. I think in every episode we've mentioned. It
Pretty
feels
close.
like it.
Not every episode, but a lot.
I try my best to slip it in there where I can.
Absolutely. So it's Hell or High Water, and this is kind of our chance to really talk about it. Maybe the goal of these is to pitch it to the list. When we get to the end and we build our list of what we feel are the top 100 Westerns of all time, this is our chance to say, let's put this on, So
I'm on board. I love this idea.
All right, let's do it.
All right, we'll get right into the feature presentation. Put this thing up here. Set some mood music. Blood always follows money. Divorced dad and his ex-con brother resort to a desperate scheme in order to save their family farm in West Texas.
Perfect. Yes, Hell or High Water, 2016 this came out. Directed by David Mackenzie, who did Outlaw King, recently Relay. I've worked with him twice on the pilot episode of Damnation, which was a show we did for USA/Netflix, and Under the Banner of Heaven for Disney Plus. It's a screenplay by Taylor Sheridan, who wrote Sicario and I believe all the everything on Paramount.
Yellowstone, Special Operations Lioness, Mayor of Easttown. What else is he? Tulsa King. He is pretty much Paramount Plus, like you put it.
All your dad's favorite shows. And the original title was Comancheria, which
this is a better title.
It's a good title, actually. It's the Comanche Empire that covered most of West Texas and New Mexico until about the 1860s. It won the best Blacklist script in 2012. That's a list put together by a bunch of producers of the top unproduced screenplays of the year. So 2012 voted on by 370 different film executives. This one. It stars Jeff Bridges, Chris Pine, Ben Foster, and Gil Birmingham, who I've also had the pleasure of working with. I love Gil. He's amazing.
Jeff Bridges?
And I've never worked with Jeff Bridges. Oh, my God. That would be amazing. Did I?
You said Jack Bridges. I'm trying to get the correction already.
Oh, I was literally reading it, and I somehow managed to say Jack. It was filmed May through July in and around Clovis, New Mexico. The DOP was Giles Nutkins, who did Young Ones, which is a really cool movie, and Damnation, and a little movie called Battlefield Earth, which I worked with Giles, and he told me a story where he was at a party and he met the head of IMDb, and he begged him
to get that removed from his IMDb, like his known for, because it comes up, and the guy was like, that is generated by popularity. I can't. Anyway.
Can he Alan Smithy that?
Well, he doesn't want the credit gone. He just wanted it away from his like known for these 4 things. But anyway, maybe he's done so much now that it's bumped off. I hope for him. It was nominated for 4 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor, Jeff Bridges, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Editing. It premiered at Cannes in 2016. Scores of nominations. Generally, in all the nominations, anytime there was a win at any film festival or anything, it seems to be Jeff Bridges that was getting the win. However, Ben Foster won Best Supporting Male at the Independent Spirit Awards, which is a pretty big deal. So that's the rundown. Before we started this, had you guys seen this one before? Scott, you'd seen it before, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that's one of the reasons why I advocated like every episode. I've said it before. I love when my movies are morally gray. I like when the bad guy you're like, yeah, I see what you did there. I would have chose something different, but I can see how you get here.
Absolutely. And this one, especially, you're really rooting for them.
And it's funny because in the movie as well is like Chris Pine feels just like stuck there. Like it feels like everything's happening around him to him. And so it's my perfect kind of gray. So David,
you seen it?
I had not seen it. Okay. And since we're on the gray already onto the this is a morally gray movie. I don't love morally gray movies right now. I get enough morally gray in my real world life that when I watch a movie, I want to get away from that.
Well, it was very surprisingly autobiographical for writer Taylor Sheridan, because though he obviously would never rob a bank or anything like that.
That we're aware of.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, he's certainly not doing it now. I think the banks might rob from him at this stage, but they had lost their housing as part of the housing crisis in LA, and they were traveling through some of these areas where these towns just looked completely depressed, and everyone was being foreclosed on, and that housing crisis kind of took a while to work its way through the West and the Midwest, and he saw that all these towns had thriving banks. Like the only thing open in town was the bank. And it was really, I mean, that speech that Gil Birmingham gives about, the white people stole the land from my ancestors. Now it's the banks stealing the land from everyone else. And I think, Taylor was in a situation where he would have done anything to provide for his family. And obviously short of robbing banks, but there was no choice other than to write this script and get it made and make a movie and make the next one and make the next one. He was trying to provide. And that's really what Chris Pine is up against in this. It's, his mom got roped into this reverse mortgage. I'm guessing it's probably to pay for cancer treatments.
In the US, probably.
And like, again, movies like this, Breaking Bad, everywhere else in the world, it's like, oh, you just go to the doctor and you get better, but in a country where people go into medical debt,
life-changing, crippling debt because a splinter got infested and you didn't feel like going to, and now they have like, oh,
right. Yeah. It's a wild scenario, but yes. So she got into this reverse mortgage. Then suddenly, they're discovering oil on this land, and the bank thinks that they can just scrape it out from under her and foreclose and cash in on this oil. And Chris Pine's going to do anything to stop that. So, we talk about gray areas. I mean, is that a gray area? It's your family farm. It's your children you're trying to provide for. Obviously, Chris Pine's plan was to do it clean with nobody getting hurt.
Well, and I think that's why Ben Foster's really good in this. Actually, they're really good as brothers.
Amazing.
Because you're telling the same story, but you're seeing it kind of from both like the black hat and the white hat or the gray hat in this case. Like, he is sympathetic, and it's it's funny that it's Chris Pine, because you don't like, he's Kirk, and recently he was in the D&D movie, and like, he just doesn't Wonder Woman, like, this comes out of left field. It's one of those like Robin Williams and 1 Hour Photo kind of things, or Insomnia, where you're just like, I wasn't expecting this, but I liked it. like it's,
he's a very, very thoughtful, caring actor. You know, he really, really cares for the material, and you can tell even in that final scene with him and Jeff Bridges, where they're kind of, you know, are they going to battle it out, or they're getting in their little kind of subtle jabs that all give you peace, that kind of stuff. You can really see how much the material meant to him, and how they really got that scene right. And that was his last day of shooting, because they only had him for a couple weeks, and that was Jeff Bridges' first day of shooting. So they met up on that one day, knocked that scene out of the park. I think it's amazing.
It kind of reminds me of the Al Pacino, Robert De Niro from Heat, where not to the same, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Chris Pine or Jeff Bridges on the same, you rank them how you want, but sorry,
I might put Jeff up there with those guys.
Jeff for sure. Chris Pine, I don't think has earned it yet, but I feel like if he decided to do more stuff like this, he'd be up there. But like, it's one of those ones where, like, it's such a interesting scene, because society tells you that you need to root for the one, but your heart is telling you to root for the other, and it in your head is conflicted, in my opinion, where I'm like, I see both sides of this. Like, I get it.
It's the only movie where I'm watching and I want the bank robbers to get away with it. Yeah. But then I also want the police, or the Texas Rangers in this case, to catch them. Yeah, you know, like it, and then it actually, like, the resolution of it all is actually kind of perfect. Like, I think, like you said, Ben Foster is amazing. He's such an agent of chaos in this whole thing. And for him to end so chaotically, it really, and I think he was going into this prepared to have that outcome, more so, certainly more so than Gil Birmingham's character. That one, you know, is always shocking, even though I've seen this a dozen times. That kind of stuff where, you know, and then even like the people at the banks but again, I love this scenario, like, of we're going to rob these banks right when they open with nobody in it. And we're not going to take the bundled money. We're not taking the trackable money. We're just taking the loose stuff. We're going to hit enough of them. Obviously, they had some intel that the Texas Midlands cameras weren't recording. I know that Taylor Sheridan did not do any research into how these banks worked and how the money laundering at the casino works. And he just said he didn't care about any of that. He just wrote what kind of felt common sense and real to him. And I think it does. It kind of gives it this element of like if had he researched it and found some banking loophole that he was exploiting in his story, I think you might have seen like copycat people trying to do it. And I think that's a little irresponsible. But the idea that it probably doesn't exist is totally fine with me. That
I feel like that would change the movie into like The Wolf of Wall Street or like The Big Short, like where that's what those movies are about. This is just about people trying to do their thing and just keep on keeping on.
Right. And there's something, it's so baked in with that Texas, especially West Texas outlaw spirit. Like I love when he runs into that guy at the bank and the guy just says, you know, sideways don't want to run into me. And he's just like, I love West Texas. Like it's just like, and then on top of that, the lawyer that was helping them set all this up. Now they keep saying that Chris Pine was the brainchild behind it, but it was the lawyer that gave him the idea to put it back in the trust, and the lawyer that was willing to watch it burn. You know, like he was on board with this, and he's just like, what's more Texas than that? You know, this outlaw spirit that can't be quelled by corporations or banks or authority.
That whole scene with in the bank where the good guy with a gun makes things worse.
Which we see all the time.
Yeah. This is another
hero.
we mentioned it with the medical debt. This is another thing that is like, this doesn't happen in other countries. This doesn't happen in most of the United States, but specifically other countries here in Canada, we would never see that.
Perhaps not. No.
Probably not.
Yeah,
It's
probably not.
It feels very Texas.
Yeah, it feels very Texas. And then they leave, and everybody's got a gun and they're shooting at them. And this posse rolls out after them in their trucks. I loved the posse rolling out of the trucks.
Yeah.
But again, you don't get more American than Ben Foster coming out of the truck and going, "Hold on a second." Just with an AK just blowing away these poor civilians. And it
doesn't hit any of them. He pops their cars and
seems highly unlikely that he would not hit any of them at all.
It reminds me of in Terminator 2 when he's like, "Don't kill anyone," when they're like robbing Sensodyne or something like that. And then he's like, he's just shooting the minigun at everyone, but no one's hurt.
Yeah.
He's like, we're here to scare people and get out, right?
Yeah, you just need to scare them off to just say, like, look, we're not the guys you want to be chasing out of town.
And it fits the spirit of them going in the like it. We're going in not to hurt anyone. Why would I come out and start to do that, right?
Yeah.
An underrated move a move that I thought was brilliant was when he drove up that hill and then set the little explosive in the gas, the Molotov cocktail or whatever, and then jumped out and rolled it back into the cops, and they had to back off, and like little things like that. Very clever, very interesting. Yeah,
MacGyver would be proud.
Now, and this was he wrote one draft of this script. They shot the first draft of the script. There is not one deleted scene. There's nothing that they shot that didn't end up in the movie. Like it is this is the script. Shoot it, put it in the theaters, which is very impressive.
Yeah, that's not common. And
even just to find the locations that fit so perfect with these and not have to change something from interior to exterior or anything like that. Like it is what it is.
The diner with the lady and she's like steaks. Like it's so good. Like there's not a bad part of this movie.
She's amazing. I have her name here. So Margaret Bowman is her name. She is on our list twice if we get this on, because she's also in No Country for Old Men.
Oh yeah.
And she's in one of my favorite movies of all time. She's in Waiting for Guffman.
Waiting for Guffman's great.
Yeah, so she plays the costume lady in Waiting for Guffman that's trying to get him into his pants. And and she absolutely steals this whole movie in that one scene. It's akin to Alec Baldwin in Glengarry Glen Ross, where she just comes in
or I'll have what she's having kind of thing.
Yeah, that weren't no question, she just nails it. And then I love that they refer to it as a rattlesnake. They got one. Why would you want to live here? They have one hardware store that charges twice as much as Home Depot. A rattlesnake for a waitress in the one restaurant. It's just she's so great. She's so great.
And it's funny because like that's what I went to high school in a town like that where there's not a lot going on. And even I'm watching this movie being like, oh, at least my place had more going on than this town does. Like I thought I was hard done by.
We had arcades.
Sorry?
Yeah.
We had arcades.
Yeah, we had stuff. Like this. But like I think what makes this work really well is because this is, I don't think it's ever comes off meaningfully, if it ever does, as a yeehaw stereotype, like, oh, it's the Middle West, like, no, it's like when like a politician goes to shake hands in the Midwest, and you're like, oh, they're just behind the scenes they're like, oh, they just eat butter and like rodeo. When you get down there and they're just real people, and it's just people with real concerns, right? And
sorry, keep going.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I loved all the people that they encounter along the way. Like everyone, like Amber Midthunder plays the young girl that gets robbed when Ben Foster robs the non-Texas Midlands. she's wonderful when they're interviewing her and they're asking her about the car, and she's like, it was kind of a piece of shit, and like she's so good. Katie Mixton as the diner waitress who doesn't want to give up her tips, and and she's so quick, and just like, well, it's evidence if they're the bank robbers. If they were just two people having lunch, it's not evidence. So come back to me. Like I thought every supporting character kind of stole the scene. Well, even the cowboys. Taylor Sheridan plays the cowboys that are herding the cattle across away from the grass fire. Yeah. And again, he steals the scene, and just it really puts you in this place where it just feels so real and lived in and wonderful.
It's a bunch of people trying to just get by, overlapping on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all to be honest, I think the real bad guy here is capitalism. But it's just like
1,000,000%. It's the corporations and the banks, and and Canada, our banks are a little different. We kind of have like 3 or 4 huge billion-dollar corporations that are kind of our banks, and one of them is the Royal Bank, which is the Queen, the King now, I guess. But in the States, there's a lot of these kind of just little banks. I mean, there's Chase, there's Bank of America,
Morgan, and
there's Wells Fargo, even there's these big banks, but there's also a lot of like little small town banks, and that's why like the Texas Midlands Bank is so funny to me, because it's this great little kind of bank with 6 locations, and their cameras don't work, and I love when he says to the one bank manager, when he's like, "Oh, this looks like a guy that could foreclose on a house," and the guy saying, "What type of bank would we be if we didn't have cameras?" And he's like, "Well, you'd be a Texas Midlands Bank."
Because in the States, it's like a business. You just I feel like open up at a bank. You just follow the regulations and hope that they say yes, right?
It's very wild. It's very different. And
those small independent banks are very much a Western thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a Western trope.
Oh, absolutely.
By stretch. Because the thing we haven't really talked about is this a Western?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 100%. No,
you're right.
You're right.
That's a short conversation. Yes, it is.
Yeah, and that's the question this whole thing's launched off of. And I had clips of this movie in that video of what is a Western, and truthfully, I think this is the perfect example of something that wasn't shot in the 50s, isn't about a cattle drive, like it's not a duel or a gunslinger or anything like that. But it is so Western in every sense of the word. And yes, it's absolutely, this is what Westerns can look like if done right.
Date myself with this comparison, but I had 2 comparisons that came into my head watching this movie. Plot wise and character wise was Boondock Saints.
Mm-hmm.
It was similarly great.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up for that. And the other one was Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, the Leonardo DiCaprio one.
Yeah, because I
so good.
And I just kept telling myself, if I can call Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet Shakespeare, I can call this a Western.
I love that comparison.
In modern times, it has all of the tropes, and in this case, the Shakespeare script, but it has all of the stuff, but in a completely different way.
It's really interesting because I don't think we need to ask in this specifically, is it a Western? Because based on the episodes we've already done, we've asked that almost every episode.
Yeah, sure.
Hell or High Water should be on the list because it is a Western. Like it is, it's a modern way of telling a Western in what is modern society, as much as this is compared. I do believe, I think we got into it on the There Will Be Blood, what a Western is. And I can understand the argument for that one. I disagree. I think it is a Western, but I can get the argument.
Yeah.
This one, if the Western is about the spirit of maybe the open range, the freedom, the, don't tread on me, like that kind of the exploration, like Dances with Wolves to me is big on the exploration into the frontier. What does that look like in modern day outside of James Cameron in a submarine at the bottom of the ocean? What does exploration into these frontiers? What does this stuff look like? And I feel like this is as close as it gets. This is my land, and these, ornery bank folk are trying to take it from me, and I will defend my land. And this is the outlaw version of that, it's stand your ground financially. And
another great supporting character was that guy in the diner, and he even says, like, these days of robbing banks and getting away with it, living long enough to spend the money, like that. Yeah, that's over, and it's really about that. Like, is that outlaw spirit you're talking about? Is it still alive?
You don't see DB Cooper that much these days. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, he still owes me money.
He still owes me $20. Yeah.
Also, it had a poker game. That's another one of those tropes of like Western tropes. And I thought, and I don't know a lot about poker, and I get a little bit of PTSD because what happened was one year the NHL went on strike and there was no hockey on TV, and they just put poker on all the time. And every time you turn on the sports channels, and I was so sad that there was no hockey, it was poker. And so now when I see poker on TV, I want to like drive a car off the cliff. But when they're doing that poker scene, I thought it was very intriguing, and some of the little lines that they were saying, and again, not knowing anything about poker, I felt like I really understood what was happening. He was upset about the guy taking his card, like he's just like, just fold, let me have that card. And then when he didn't get the card, it screwed up his whole thing.
Kind of feels like Moneyball in a weird way. Like I'm not a big baseball guy, but Moneyball wasn't. Baseball was and same as poker. Also, if you weren't sure we're in Canada, Cameron's story is he was sad for the year because we didn't have hockey.
I was very depressed, and it was the year after my team went to the Stanley Cup Finals, so we had a little momentum, and then we've never recovered.
I think it's the last. Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's the last time it did too.
Yeah, I mean we've been in the playoffs since then, but yeah. Anyway, it's not a hockey podcast yet.
Yeah, it's a Star Wars podcast. No,
I can mention Star Wars. Can I tie Star Wars to this? So the director David Mackenzie,
probably
is Scottish. He's a wonderful man. I've worked with his team at Sigma Films, Jillian Barry. Like, I love them to death. They are the real deal. When they come in on a show, they have a lot of like needs, which I don't mind. That's great. But it's because they really, really care about the material, and they really dig in with the cast, and they're very, they are kind of like small town in a way, but their sensibilities and their tastes are so high that they make great movies, and they're great to work with. But David Mackenzie's brother is an actor in England. His name's Alistair Mackenzie, and he played Mon Mothma's husband.
That's where I know that name.
Aaron,
yeah,
in Andor. So there, drink Star Wars.
Star Wars. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm just looking through my notes.
I thought we were going to go with like Sabak or something like that.
Yeah, no,
was going to be like, and then if you look in the background, there's Lando trying to get his Millennium Falcon back. Like it's just like
no. I just like to tie everything to either Back to the Future or Star Wars. That's my main goal in life.
Where we're going, we don't need these roads. Yeah.
He never outlined the script. He wrote it in 3 weeks straight. And again, it was the first draft that went on film. It's amazing. This lost Best Picture. It was up for Best Picture. It lost in the Moonlight La La Land debacle. If you guys remember that. Two movies that I can't believe were even nominated for Best Picture, but are wildly popular, especially on Letterboxd.
Every time anyone does it, I just think Crash or Shakespeare in Love, and I'm just like,
Crash beat Brokeback Mountain, and so that was
Shakespeare in Love beat Saving Private Ryan. It's like
two tough ones, but again, the way they do the Oscar voting is a little strange. Okay, so Marcus and Gil Birmingham's character. I'm gonna get through all the Indian insults first before I get to the half Mexican part. Like they're little jabs back and forth, and when he's bugging him about soccer and like it's priceless. It's absolutely priceless. And he says to him, even, this is what you're gonna miss when I'm retired or whatever. Like I'm tearing up already. Like it's amazing.
That was another set that had me conflicted, because it was, on the one hand, this is funny. This is objectively like it's an endearing making fun of, but it's also just this casual racism that I'd prefer not to see. So I was really again conflicted with that.
It's so sweet and loving, and I guess like I've been in groups of friends where we kind of have like a Spanish guy and a Filipino guy, and the way that we all just kind of bounce off each other, and the way that like the Korean guy will make fun of the Japanese guy and stuff like that. Like it really does kind of feel like it comes from a loving place. It never feels hateful.
Yeah. No, I'm
not
on
for
board.
a second.
Yeah. Intention means more than what you say, in my opinion. If you can tell when there's venom in it, and that I have no time for. But
I never thought there was venom in it.
Not at all. And that's the relationship they have.
And it starts with him making fun of him. Why do you always dress like me? And he's like, well, it's a uniform. Like they just kind of have that relationship, and I love it. And Alberto, when Alberto gets shot, the check stop, when he gets stopped at the check stop, I'm trying to think of why. Like obviously, so there's obviously a reason why they can't tie Chris Pine to these robberies, and the
cameras don't work.
Yeah, the cameras don't work. The only time that they really have camera, Chris Pine didn't rob that bank. It was just
Foster
Tanner by himself.
Yeah.
Or is it Toby? Toby is Chris Pine.
Yeah.
So Tanner by himself. So even though they know in all the other robberies he has a partner, there's nothing to say it had to be the brother. They know that he was probably with his brother at the diner, but that's not enough to tie him to the other robberies. Also with Texas Midlands being in charge of the trust, they're making more money per month off of the oil wells than they lost in the 40,000 stolen from them. So they have no motivation to go deeper into this.
It's also insured. Like it's
all it's the bank's money. It's insured. Exactly. Yeah. Certainly in Canada it is. I assume it is there too. But when he gets stopped at the check stop, again, I think they're looking for a vehicle with two men in it. And do you think he had a fake ID? Does he give him a fake ID?
I doubt it.
I don't.
He doesn't seem like that. That seems an extra level of where is this brother going to get that? They're not doing a whole lot to disguise themselves. They steal a vehicle and their fingerprints are all over it.
Yeah.
Right. Like
true. His blood would have been in that truck.
Exactly.
It feels very surface level, almost situational.
Yeah.
Like I know it's semi-planned, but it's not like it's like Reservoir Dogs where it's planned to the point because we think it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't really thought about what happens if it doesn't.
Well, and they do kind of quickly deviate from their own plan.
Yeah.
Because right away in the opening robberies, he goes and hits that other one, and he's like, and then when they when he does the thing at the diner, it's like, oh, now we're behind a day. Well, this morning I put us ahead a day, so we're even, and there's kind of like, oh, well, now we got to drive back and dump this car. So even like right from the start, things don't go perfectly as planned, but it works. It's still working. And then once they launder the money and, get a little off the top to give to his ex-wife to cover some alimony and all this stuff, they really do kind of cover their butts in a pretty good way. It feels very realistic in how it unfolds.
The alimony payment's incredibly important, I think, because I think the thing is to take the money and run. But when you stop and think about like what the purpose of this whole experiment, we'll say, is to try to make those they care about in their lives whole as best as possible in maybe the last resort, or from people they feel has wronged people. And so, because to do stuff like this, you have to make them the other. And and so I think that's why it's really interesting every time like any familiarity comes into it, is them trying to distance themselves from that. Like, hey, you don't want to be part of this, right?
Yeah, don't be like me. He says, even don't be like me. And then he's like, aren't you going to drink your beer? And he's like, well, you just said not to be like you. And I imagine maybe alcohol was a factor in the divorce and all these things. And he really wants to make it right. He's not interested in getting back with Debbie or anything, but I love his speech about poverty being like a disease.
It is, though.
You know, where it's like it passes down from person to person, and I'm ending that now.
Yeah, Terry Pratchett
that way.
Terry Pratchett had a really good thing about the boots from Discworld. And he goes, you know, like $100 for a pair of really good boots that would last you a lifetime, but you can't afford $100 because you're busy doing all this other stuff. So you spend $5 or $10 on a pair of boots that are only going to last you for a season. And eventually that'll cost you more and more and more, but you don't have that upfront payment, right? So it's a housing crisis today. Like a lot of people don't have that down payment. And
even, like sometimes, you know, if you buy a used car, it might be $12,000, but you have to have that $12,000 to give to the guy in the parking lot to get your car. Whereas you can finance a vehicle over 84 months at 0.9 or whatever. And you really don't need that big upfront down payment. But then, and that's what happened with a lot of these mortgages. They were giving out these crazy mortgages and people got in over their heads and
it's all subprime.
And it burst. So, and here we are, we've created a world where there's people living in desperation. And when you create a world where part of the population is in desperation, part of the population is going to move to crime to solve that problem. And
we were watching a documentary, John Oliver, the other on Sunday, and there was based on statistics, he said, I was like, that's like 1 out of every 182 people in the States are incarcerated.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's an insane stat. Like it was based on the numbers he said, and then I crunched the numbers in my head. I was like, that's insane. Like,
because it's a big industry. It's a big business.
For-profit prisons, not any better than for-profit banks.
Yeah, they're not prisoners; they're customers, and that's 100%. How.
Andor does it really well. When they're moving around, spoilers. But Star Wars. But I that's one of the things I really liked about that scene was just like it's Hotel California. You're going in, you're never leaving, and it's the same as these banks with their predatory lending and stuff. Like again. Capitalism is the bad guy of this film. like it really is. Like it's. I'm not saying capitalism as a whole, but in this case, it most definitely is. Like,
and the other thing too is the good guys, they're doing it for their family. It's a little. Is it Robin Hood? Is it kind of a Robin Hood situation, or I don't know. But they also it is part of the Dr. Pepper cinematic universe because he asked for a Dr. Pepper and then he comes out with a Mr. Pibb and he's like, "Are you trying to piss me off? Only assholes drink Mr. Pibb, you know." I agree with that. If you're gonna be drinking something, be drinking Dr. Pepper.
Feed that Dr. Pibb to your horse.
When I first
Dr. Pepper, if you're listening, we love the advertising.
Ooh, there's our sponsor. I'm gonna just start saying it at the end of every episode. I'm just gonna be like, this episode has been brought to you by Dr. Pepper, because in many ways it has been. Because that's
every time we have a Star Wars moment, we can like bring a Dr. Pepper and be like,
Dr. Pepper Star Wars moment.
It's just like
the Mug Root Beer Dana Carvey show. When I first met my wife, we were on a blind date and she worked at the bank. And I jokingly said to her, this would have been, close to 20 years ago. But I jokingly said to her, how often do you guys get robbed? Thinking nobody robs banks since, Billy the Kid. And she's like, oh, every couple of weeks. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? You get robbed that often? And it's not, people busting in. It's not heat. They're not coming in with guns or whatever. Usually they're note passers. They wait in line. They come at a particular time. They wait in line and then they just pass a note that just says, give me everything that's in the drawer. I have a gun. Don't cause a problem, kind of thing. And I believe they never really get away with it. Like they do leave safely. And then it's a pain if you're there doing some banking when it happens. It's a pain because they lock the doors and police come and you have to interview everybody. And there were many times where I was meeting her after work and she couldn't come because the bank was robbed. And
you said one year, I'd be like, oh, okay, but like once a month.
Yeah, like literally way more than I ever would have thought. And
that's crazy.
And it's a little bit like this movie where they don't take large sums. They take like $300, $600, but they hit a bunch of them. They'll go to like a shopping complex that has a bunch of different banks. And those banks do get in touch with each other after one's hit. They all know, but usually they'll kind of do 2 or 3, and then by the third one they see the vehicle and they get them, kind of thing. So it's definitely not a path to financial freedom. Yeah, it's certainly not the Billy the Kid days or the Bonnie and Clyde days, but it still happens, which is hard to believe.
It feels like this is kind of like a Bernie Madoff thing where it's just like you can be a millionaire, but it's going to cost you something.
Yeah. And I mean, again, when you're talking about who are the real crooks, who are the people that are, these, billionaires and the oil companies, even, all these things. Like, no, I mean, obviously the oil companies aren't the crooks, but they're the ones making all this money, and this land is worth all this money. Because of the oil and the resources and everything. Why isn't the whole town prospering from this,
Because when people find out that they can, it spreads.
Mm-hmm.
And then the banks and the oil companies don't get to make their dollars.
And pay your taxes. Anyway, tweakers just tweak.
Well,
I also love the bopped you in the schnozzola. They really bopped you in the schnozzola there. There's so many great little lines. Should we get to our horses on film count?
To be fair, Cameron, the reason why the town isn't is because Daniel Day-Lewis hasn't come up and given I'm an oil man speech.
Yeah. Now the sequel will be the sons, because the sons will be wealthy oil barons. So now the sons can do the...
It'll be the kids of the bankers who have to steal the money from them.
Yeah, because they'll be the rich oil guys not paying their taxes. People. Yeah. Okay, horses on film count. So of the 4 levels, no horses, some horses, lots of horses, all the horses. Where are we at? Dave, you start.
There were technically horses in this film, but I'm saying no horses.
No horses. Okay. I mean, it's a modern day movie.
Yeah.
So technically it
took place in Texas. Of course there's a horse there.
Yeah. A lot of horsepower.
Yeah, exactly. Most of it was horsepower.
Yeah.
I tend not to try to agree with Dave, but on this one I'll have to.
Okay, you're going no horses. Now, I'm going to say some horses. Oh. And the reason why I'm saying some horses is because it is modern day, and the fact that there's any horses is kind of a feat. And it's not so much the cattle drive, because I did count. I pulled a Wojtek and I counted. There was 7 horses in this movie. So there's 6 in the cattle drive. And the other horse is at the 7-Eleven.
And I'm not convinced that extra didn't just show up on set on that horse. And they went, you know what? Let's put the horse in too.
Well, I mean,
you want to
that he took his horse to the 7-Eleven.
Do you want a Slurpee in your SAG card?
Well, I thought that was brilliant that there was a horse at the gas station. To me, that's essentially like all the horses when you throw a horse into the gas station. So I'm going to say some horses for me, but I think the average will work out to it being a no horse film. How about ratings?
Dave.
Well, let's end with Dave. Let's start with Scott.
Nope. I want to hear what Dave's got to say. Boy, do I ever.
Okay.
All right.
Hold on. Let me get ready. Okay.
This is mostly a subjective.
Gird your loins.
Review. This is a subjective rating. Objectively, I could see an argument to make this a higher number. I'm giving it a 1. No, just kidding.
No. Oh,
Just kidding, Scott.
My mighty heart.
No, 3.5.
3.5. Okay.
3.5. It's a, for me to be at least a 4 is a movie I will actively seek out to watch again. Would I watch this movie again? Yes. Am I going to seek it out to watch it again? Probably not. It's just not, like I said at the very beginning, I don't want to watch Morally Gray. I have to deal with that every day of my life. I want to escape that.
All right.
Can I ask, would you rank this higher than Unforgiven or lower? I mean that like higher?
Definitely higher. 100%.
Because they're both
3.5 there too.
They were both 3.5.
I gave Unforgiven 3.5 as a very objective and very early in our show. 3.5. I would probably even rate it lower today than I would have at that time.
Oh wow.
But objectively, that was a good movie. I couldn't knock it to a much lower rating, Unforgiven, because I didn't like it. Objectively, it was a really well-made movie. Objectively, so is this.
As an aside, I'm on Letterboxd. I've been going through and reading a lot of the reviews of the movies that we cover, and Unforgiven is one that obviously the bulk of it is 4.5, 5. People are blown away by it. Sometimes it really hits. Like I've seen people that say, this is the first time I've ever watched a Western. Are they all like this? And they love it. Now I do see 1 stars. I see half stars but you do see a big chunk of like 3s, 3.5, 3.5, where they're like, oh, I get why this is so popular, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And that's, I think, similar to what your thing was.
Yeah, very much so.
And I would say that Hell or High Water is one that is on a lot of top 10 lists of the year, the decade, the 21st century. It is very popular. On Letterboxd, you do see it ranging from that 3 to 4.5. I don't know what its actual like Letterboxd average is. I can look that up. But Scott, let's get into yours.
So this was when it was always on my list to watch, but it took me a while to get there. I didn't watch it till about 5 years after it came out. It was just I write it on my list, and eventually it came to the top. Okay, it's time to watch. I'm giving it oddly enough, I wavered between a 3.5 and a 4. Dave's logic is sound. Like I'm not, but 4. So really what we're doing here is like, is it as good as Unforgiven? I actually might argue it's better most of the time.
Yeah.
I don't like it as much as The Proposition, which I love. I gave it a 5. I love that film, and I love that's not like, if it's shades of gray, that's like almost a black film. Like it's so dark, but I love it. This one I'd probably give a 4 is what I'm going to go with. Again, Chris Pine is the reason. You just care for this man. Like you pass this guy every day. You just do. You don't. There's an episode of Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits, about a bank guy who works at a bank, and he can magically hear thoughts. And every day, and it's this guy, and he's like, I'm going to rob the bank today. I'm going to rob the bank today. And the whole episode's him trying to figure out who it is. And then when he finally does, he hears the thoughts of, I think of this every day. I'm never going to do it.
Right.
And there's this weird insight that, like, if someone told you they've never thought about robbing a bank, Like even offhanded.
I thought about Robin. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, he'd be lying to you. He'd be lying
or
to you.
Like the Groundhog Day thing where you would just walk off with the money from the armored car, you know?
Yeah, like
and absolutely.
We all thought about it at least once. The degrees of seriousness will argue.
Absolutely.
But this is just a guy who went, I really don't have anything. And he's an everyday man. Like he really is. And in such a sympathetic person, honestly. Ben Foster I have a little less for, and again, that's why I think this movie works really well, is the Ben Foster. You have that foil of what could have been, what like they're both have in theory the same intentions, but there's a little more here and a little less here. And just Jeff Bridges is just so good. Like and the weird, no, I'm getting too old for this kind of thing. Like it's so good. And like, and again, like if you've come from a small town, you in a weird way, you live this movie without the bank robbery stuff, or maybe with the bank robbery stuff. I don't know. I'm not judging, but like, it's just like, it's really good. And I'm really sad it's not on the IndieWire list. Hence why we're making this episode.
So what's your number? What are you giving us? 4. Okay. So we have a 3.5. We have a 4.
And Cameron?
Well, I make it pretty clear that I love this movie. It is in my list of top 50 on Letterboxd. It's currently in my top 4 on the profile page of my Letterboxd. It's a 3.9. I looked it up. The average rating is 3.9, which the little bar graph looks a little bit like someone giving a middle finger. So it's kind of perfect. I've seen it. It says on here 10 times, but that doesn't include times where I just kind of watched 20 minutes here or 20 minutes there. Every now and then I just put in like a random scene and watch the scene. So I've seen this, I would say dozens of times. And every time I enjoy it like it's the first time I've watched it. It is one of the most rewatchable movies. It really just hits so many things. It's part of the Dr. Pepper cinematic universe, as I have said. Jeff Bridges, Gil Birmingham are such an amazing team. I would watch a prequel with them solving crimes. You talk about it being a morally gray movie, and maybe I'm a little jaded to capitalism in a sense. I don't even find it morally gray. As a father, I'm willing to do anything I can do. And there's a scene where I think they're in the diner, and Chris Pine says to his brother, you're talking like we're not going to get away with this. And Ben Foster says, I don't know anyone who ever got away with anything ever. And he entered into this knowing what was going to happen. Obviously, they didn't want to hurt anybody, and a couple people did die. I think 3 people die, and that was never their intention. But it's a modern day Western. It's a Western in the sense of everything that makes a Western, like we've said a few times. I've got my son watching it now. Him and his friends are obsessed with it. I think it works. It's one of these movies that is going to work in 20 years. It's going to work in 50 years. If this movie had come out in the 50s or 60s and it was set in the Old West and it was a similar storyline and at the heart of it, 2 brothers that are trying to make good for their nephew and sons, 100%. I think it would have been as popular then. I think you've got some unbelievable performances, not just by the leads, but by everybody in this movie. There's not one person in the movie where you go, they don't need this scene, or they didn't need that character. I'm obsessed with everybody in this movie. I want to sit down in the diner with those old guys by the window. I've been in those diners before, and you just go, those guys are awesome. I want to sit with them. And even the fact that, when they went back and showed them pictures of Chris Pine, they're like, I don't think that's the guy. I'm sure they recognized him.
Oh, 100%.
That outlaw spirit, that West Texas thing, it's just baked into this. And then the fact that, it's a Scottish director, a British DOP, and they just got this look so unbelievably right. The shots of the boys talking about the will where they're sitting on the back of the truck with the windmill and the fence, and that the final shot where instead of craning up to look at the vista, they crane down and just settle in the grass, and they just sit there in the grass. It's about this land. It's about this place. It's generation after generation. And I just think it's in many ways, a perfect movie. And it's a 5 for me. And if I could go higher than 5, I would. Like, it's a movie that I love, love, love.
It's funny because I was like, and it's a 2.5. No,
yeah. I mean, I praised Day of the Outlaw till the end of time, and that's a 4.5 because I do think it is kind of missing an element. Whereas this is, in my opinion, it's not missing anything. It wouldn't be better if you added anything. It wouldn't be worse if you took it, or like it would be worse if you took anything away. You need the girl at the bar at the casino hitting on him to try to get his chips. You need to know that everybody is desperate.
Yeah.
Everybody in this thing, the conversation he has with the Native American, the Comanche, you know what that makes me? A Comanche. Because if
I like that.
You're the enemy, if you're the enemy of everyone, that's me. And I love the rapper kids in the green muscle car, and I love how that plays out. I just really think it's a superb movie that into our next segment, should it be on this list? I'm pitching it hard. I want this film on this list. I was looking at the Cowboys and Indians list, which again is a little bit more straightforward than the one we're working off of, the IndieWire list, and they have it at 64 out of 100. And that list came out in 2021, a few years earlier. Again, there's more things on that are more American. They definitely don't get as international. It's maybe not as interesting a list, but I really think when they put that on there, they understood what they were looking at. And I really do think it belongs on there.
So like my score doesn't reflect it, but this is the second or third favorite movie I've watched for this. Like I'm not saying like in order. I mean, like out of all we've watched, this is very high.
Yeah.
The scene in the diner you're talking about with the photo.
Feel free to bump that score up. No.
Oh, I'm debating it. Like I'm like probably a 4.5 is actually probably where I should settle on this. To be honest. No, it's true.
Sorry, the scene in the diner. You said?
Yeah. But when you can see it in their eyes, there's a little bit of a good on them. They did it. Like it's just like there's this if I was a younger man, I might do the same. It's like
absolutely.
And like it's
and he says that bank. Oh, you mean that bank over there that's been robbing me for 30 years? Like people have it. Ooh, another random thumbs up. People do have a chip on their shoulder in these towns, in these little,
because they're put there because of that banks. The 2008 housing crisis, which is the backbone of this thing, was because
the banks.
A bunch of money guys thought they could get away with some shit, and it caught up with them before they could finalize the plan. Like it's
and there's a piece of graffiti at the beginning of the bank when the first teller parks her car and is going in, and it's 3 tours in Iraq and no bailout for people like us or whatever, right? That's production design. That's in the script. That's they didn't stumble upon that. There was a distinct message from the first frame of this movie to the last frame of this movie.
Why is it when we bail out the banks, it's capitalism, but when we bail out people, it's socialism.
It's hand-me-outs. Yeah.
I don't.
That's a whole other hour.
Another hour.
Absolutely. But this is a type of movie that starts that conversation. And for that reason, I think it's an important movie. And And when they look back, when we make our list, which is going to become world famous, and everybody is going to use it as the gold standard for top 100 Westerns. That's not true, but everyone related to us will be very aware of it. When they see that list of this is the top 100 Westerns, 30 years from now, 50 years from now, when they look back at this list, I want Hell or High Water to be on this list.
Yes.
Because of that message, because of that moment in time that is so perfectly captured in this movie.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't even a heartbeat say this does not belong on the list. Having now watched it.
Yeah.
I would put it higher than that. Again, no secret I didn't like There Will Be Blood. I would replace even that number 47 spot. I think it would not be an outrageous place for this. Could it be higher? Yes. Could it be lower? Yes. But I think
looking at
probably around where to land on our list at the end of the universe.
Likely looking at other movies that are on the list that could come off in the place of this. Like, obviously it's not going to be a 1-to-1. We're not going to remove a modern one to put a modern one in, but movies that are kind of in the same vein. No Country for Old Men is a very similar kind of cinematic style. I don't want to see that leave the list. I would be fine with There Will Be Blood leaving the list. Not that it's not a 4 or 5 star movie. I just don't think it fits. I don't think if aliens came to planet Earth and they wanted to understand what a Western was, and we gave them our list and There Will Be Blood wasn't on it, we wouldn't feel like they missed anything. They didn't miss the definition of a Western by that movie. Another one is, and I've seen it before, I haven't seen it in a little while, but Paris, Texas.
I never watched it. I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
Very often on people's list of their top 4 favorite movies. When you see people get interviewed by Letterboxd, it's very often the number 1 movie, their favorite movie of all time. I think it's a very, very popular movie. I will have to watch it again to see how it fits into our Western story. Because in my memory, it doesn't feel any more Western than like Raising Arizona or some of those other kind of
okay.
What's the David Byrne movie?
Like Talking Heads, David Byrne?
Yeah. Well, and then even to a certain extent, I mean, a movie I love, David Lynch, The Straight Story. The Straight Story, which is a Disney movie, it feels more Western than in my head than Paris, Texas. But anyway, we'll see when we get to that. I'm very curious to see how that resonates with us, because it's a very, very popular movie, and I remember enjoying it. It's not high on any of my list, but I remember enjoying it. So we'll get to that one. And it's it's Texas, so maybe it encapsulates that outlaw spirit as well. So we'll get there. All right. Well, I think does that wrap this one up? We're all in agreement. Let's get this on the list. That's the goal of this.
We agree it's a Western.
It's a Western, and we love it. And 5, 3.5, and you were where?
I'm going to go 4.5. I actually legitimately think
we did it.
No, I would have, like I said, the 3.5 is way too low. Not Dave, but in my opinion.
Yeah.
And 4, but like, I do love the film. I really do. Yeah. Maybe if David listened to my pleading, he would have given Unforgiven a 4 instead of 3.5.
I still like this better than Unforgiven, so I definitely wouldn't have. I'm not changing my rating on this one for the same reason I'm not changing it on Unforgiven. Right. Not that it's not deserving. I'm not going to argue a 4 or 4.5. I wouldn't even argue a 5. I'm not gonna argue against those ratings. They're valid, incredibly valid.
The point of this is go out and watch this movie if you haven't.
Yeah,
I'll even agree with that.
Yeah,
and it's very available too, which is another thing. It's free on Plex in Canada, at least. It's free on Tubi in Canada. I'm sure all through the States. I think I saw a Letterboxd review today that somebody said they watched it on Stars.
Well, in the States, the banks are going to make you pay for it.
Probably, but yeah, I imagine it's a very, very easy movie to find, and we can't recommend it enough. And also follow the career of David Mackenzie. He has a new one called Relay. He's wonderful director and a wonderful man. So yes. All right. Well, Dave, where on the internet can we find you?
You can find me all over the YouTubes. On Sundays, most Sundays, Spill the Geek Tea at Spill the Geek T1. Tuesdays on The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. First Thursday of the month, along with these other two yahoos, on Happiness Patrol. That's youtube.com/@Happiness Patrol Show, where we talk about something that makes us happy. Star Wars. Drink.
Yeah.
In between all of that, you can find me on my own channel, where I do board game and other tabletop related content. youtube.com/therathole, DOTCA. That's therathole.ca. But YouTube does not like URLs in their URLs. Scott, where can we find you?
Happiness Patrol, all the same places. You find me here at Horses on Film. Also, Pawn and Pixel should be doing its thing by the time this goes up. And Breakfast Scotch National, where I try to digest the news, and hopefully it's better by the time you see this. But part of me thinks it won't be. But I hope it is better, and I hope everyone had a great start to the year. And by the time this goes up, and beyond that, yeah, that's me. Kind of thinking about my 4.5 right now. So it's the right answer. It's 100% the right answer. But I'm just like, how did I get to a 4? Like, I'm just like, what did I do wrong? Yeah. Anything that's kind of anti-capitalism, I usually give a little bit of a bump. So
it is, our rating system is sort of a moving target. It's sort of a live animal. So if you ever get on another episode and say, oh, actually, you know what, that one's got to come down, or after seeing this one, I appreciate that one more, we can bring that one up. So never worry about what your rating is in the moment, but never worry about it later. Things will adjust.
Dave, he's talking to you about you and The Unforgiven. Don't talk to me.
We both gave There Will Be Blood pretty low scores. So we'll see where this.
There will be controversy.
I guess so. Anyway, I'm Cameron.
Cameron, where do we find you?
I'm on letterbox.com at Cameron Chapman, and you can see Hell or High Waters right there in my top 4, along with Star Wars and Back to the Future and Portrait of a Lady on Fire. There's also a top 4 of or a letterbox of Horses on Film, and there we have a top 4. I'm curious if any of our off the list ones will end up in that top 4. This, with that 4.5, we're eking close to that with this one, so that's kind of exciting. But yeah, letterbox.com, Horses on Film. There you can track our lists and our upcoming episodes. You can go back and watch. All the links will be there to watch the old episodes. We also have horsesonfilm.com. From there, you can get at every episode as well. We're on, Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/horsesonfilm. There you get to see the little videos that we do to intro this, and you get all my hand movements and the occasional green screen shadow. And if you're not watching on this and you're curious what those videos look like, we do show those on our Instagram, which is instagram.com/horsesonfilmpodcast. Jump on there, follow us. You can message us on that. That's a good place to let us know where your favorite Western falls. And if it's not on the list, let us know, and we'll maybe do one of these episodes about that movie. horsesonfilm@gmail.com is also another place where you can email us and say, hey, like, Wyatt Earp isn't on this list. Why isn't Wyatt Earp on this list? Let's do that episode, So we're going to get into a bunch of stuff that's not on this list. Anyway, thank you guys so much for doing this. I love that we have a bonus episode in the bank. We'll do more of these. We'll get back to the list eventually, but I love the idea of jumping in here with these little interjections of some of our favorite things and our favorite movies. But yeah, until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Let's get that theme music going by Brett Alec Bailey. How about a little giddy up music? Let's get a little giddy up music on the go.
I like that. I'm on board.
We'll see you guys on the next episode. Thank you.